How are you? So I'm going to start with this. It's called Bless the New Day. Bless the new day, determination and dedication. The rays make the birds praise and celebration. For meditation, His word is my soul's foundation. I've been tired of waiting by Christ, my mind. I've been tired of waiting by Christ, my mind's awakened. Forsake Satan. He wielded words like swords as shield when he faced temptation. He leads my souls and takes control and leads us to all elevation. He blessed the Sabbath and made it a pattern of man, man in nature, nurturing a piece of peace, feels like humility. He orchestrates and implements everything in the universe. We haven't even discovered all of it or figured it out yet. This page and prayer is an outlet, flowing out of my mouth like a faucet, attracting God's love like a magnet. The elders are making new songs in heaven and the album isn't out yet. There's so many mysteries in the KJV that haven't come out of man's mouth yet. It's written. They try to diss it and make it fiction. When you read it, it is written. They try to diss it and make it fiction. When you read it, it sticks faster than quick glue, too rapid to fasten on the path that lasts. When you read it, it sticks faster than quick glue, too rapid and fasten on the path that lasts. But first quit the habits of the old man. The new you lives through the inner man and it feels see through. It was written, it was smitten by the wicked. They misfitted and misplaced it and displaced it. At first it came plainly and now it feels daily. Each gem is unique flavor, unseen treasure. We witness His bountiness in all endlessness. His blessings come in large amounts that are multiplied in countlessness. Bless the new day. So that's the intro right there. Wow, someone decided to start a party right now. But anyway, we continue. So here I'm talking about how the Bible called my people by name. This is the story of Moses and how Moses came to be a person who was a treasure to the people. And what's important or what's astounding, what's remarkable about him was that he was known to be schooled in all of the knowledge of the Egyptians. So Moses means drawn out. He was drawn out of the water, and that's the meaning of his name. And in the moment when he was drawn out, he was in the water in a basket because his life was being saved. Because everyone at that time was being killed because the king, just like it happened in the time of Jesus when the king was trying to kill all babies of a certain age. The same thing was happening with Moses. So when we see him, he grows up in the palace, and then he becomes this great person. But then when he becomes this great person, he gets like a rebel. He gets into trouble when he kills someone, and then he has to run away. So he jets out. So what happens is he goes to a place called Midian, and in this place called Midian, this is a place where there are people who are known to be like related to their African people. So this is where he spends another 40 years because he runs away at 40 years, goes to Midian at 40 years, and then he's with the people in the wilderness for 40 years. So while he's there in Midian, so this is where the Bible ties into the people of Africa. In the first instance, the whole life of Moses, it takes place as he lives and he's born and he's raised in Africa, in Egypt. And this is his entire learning, his entire life. And up until the point that he leaves, he is going to another place where there are people who look like him, but then they have a different culture, a different system, a different way of being. These people are the Midianites. And these people are the people we still encounter in the Bible at different intervals. But he goes there. This is also important because it ties into why the Bible is an African book at the heart and at the soul. So he goes into this place and then he starts living there. And then at some point we understand that Moses, in his life and in his development, whether or not this wife from Midian is another wife or whether or not he gets another Ethiopian woman, Moses has an Ethiopian wife at some point of his life. And this is sanctioned by God. I don't know if he had two wives at the same time. I don't know what really happened. But Moses had this wife and that wife, or he had one wife, but he had an Ethiopian wife. And this wife was very important to him, such that God came and defended him when Moses and Miriam, when Aaron and Miriam were saying, like, why is he marrying an Ethiopian woman? They didn't want that, but God wanted that. So when we go on into his life, we now understand that the life of Moses, he grows up in Egypt, and then he marries a woman from Ethiopia, and then he lives in Midian. So now all of these three places and cultures, they are also related because the people who lived in all these places were people who were also within Africa. So it's like they circulated around these areas, or they were just like traveling within like these were the people of those areas. When you were gonna go to an Egyptian place, those are the people you would meet. And these are the people who are in Moses' lineage and genealogy. So he has an Ethiopian wife. He's living in Africa. So all of these are African, like real connections. So by the time that he's taken the people out of Egypt, they're taken out of Africa. The people of Israel are taken out of Africa. So they're also tied in. So this is why, as an African, you also need to know the Bible so well, because this has so many connections to Africa, so many. So they come out of Africa, and then when they're in the wilderness, they say a man called Jethro, which we say is Moses' father-in-law. He came and then he gave him advice. So now when we look at Jethro, when we look where he comes from, whether or not it's about the Egyptian or whether or not it's about the Midian, what we know is that he was from Midian, and he came and gave him advice that helped the kingdom of Israel. And this Midian person is a person we link to Africa as well. And how do we do that? We do that through what people forget or don't really know is Abraham's other wife, not Hagar, who was also an African. Hagar was also an African. But then we're talking about Keturah, the other wife who he took. Hagar went away, went back to Africa. Ishmael married another African woman. But then Hagar, an African, that's another connection as well. But then through Keturah, we have the Midianites. And that's where we get Jethro in Exodus. So by the time that Jethro comes, he's giving him advice to give nations and all of that. And then from the Midianites, this is when we understand what happened at midnight when Jesus was born. Those who followed the stars from the east, the wise men, these are the Midianites, linked to Africa, frankincense and gold, all of those things from Africa, which came through Yemen, which came into the Arab Peninsula at that time through Aksum, Ethiopia, first Christian kingdoms. Ethiopia had scrolls of Isaiah according to the book of Acts. But here in Exodus, it's Exodus 18, right? Yes, it's Exodus 18, verse 12. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices of God, and Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. Jethro, Midianite, is linked to Africa through Keturah, the Midianite woman who Abraham, who was blessed for all nations, married. And in this verse it says that he comes, and then he comes to all of the elders of Israel. This is Exodus 18, verse 12. All of the Exodus of Israel are there. Aaron is there. All of the elders are there. And they break bread before God. After he does what? Does an African thing, sacrifices before God. So there's so many African connections. This is just one of them being Moses. So we'll go through more African connections, but which other ones do you think are amazing African connections that you find in the Bible? I think it's not a stretch to connect Jethro or Midian to Africans. Any search will lead you towards that direction, that the Midianites, they were of a darker skin tone. And Moses perhaps was also looking like the Egyptians that he grew up around. He might not have looked too different. So there's so many connections, and I want you to share some if you also have some, but I think there's so many to share with you. So we'll do that just now.